Okay, so this has been my Elite Dangerous project here for the last couple of weeks. Uh, to do with mining, to do with mining those low temperature diamonds to be specific, which
If you're unable to complete docking procedures within your time slot, you'll need to exit the bay and resubmit a docking request.
yes, I realize they did nerf the complete hell out of it, as I've heard. I haven't heard much else about mining since then. I haven't really been paying attention. What I've been doing is I've been trying to. What I should do, I guess, if I was just into making money, is I'd find a different way to make that big money that everybody only plays this game for. But I like mining, and I wanted to see if there was some way that I could make some reasonable amount of money at it still. And basically, I did come up with something, and it's kind of a huge pain in the ass, and it's probably not worthwhile. And it's not really general purpose. It only works in some systems. Uh, Actually, I only have one system set out, and it takes a huge amount of setup or work in advance before you can actually make any kind of reasonable money doing it. Uh, I don't even know if I'm going to post this because, like I said, if I'm going to demonstrate this, I only know one system that I can do it in, and I'll have to heavily redact this so you can't find my secret mining location. Um, I mean, I wouldn't actually normally care, but because of the way this works, I kind of have to keep this to myself. Anyway, I'm not going to be using the clipper for this. I pretty much gave up on using anacondas and clippers and things like that. Oh, I'm in the wrong system. I forgot I was doing my video game chores, and I'm stuck out here in God knows what system I'm in. Chechen or something. Okay. Okay, well, I'm gonna make a cut here and get back to my home base and pick this up there. Okay, so this is the ship I'm actually been mining in here lately. This is a cute little Python, nice cheerful shade of yellow. The Specialist Snowflake, a wonderful ship, does everything I need. So anyway, the basic idea is that given my previous experience with subsurface deposits, it was obvious that these things were persistent. That is, they spawn in the same places all the time. And if you happen to know where one was and how to get there, you could go there, get out your fighter, and use it to respawn the SSD constantly over and over again and just farm the hell out of it. Alright, well, they took that away from you, didn't they? Yep, they sure did. And so what to do? Well, it occurred to me that these SSDs, they must have jacked this up some way or another. So what did they do? Well, it occurred to me that the easiest thing they could have done would be to simply make it a rule out there in the software that these things could not respond for, say, 24 hours. And yeah, it turns out that's what they did. Well, I don't know if it's 24 hours, but it's some reasonable amount of time. I assume it's one day, but maybe it's 12 hours. What do I know? It could be. But anyway, yeah, I know. What use is that, right? You still can't get out there in your fighter and just respawn it and farm it over and over again, can you? No, no you can't. It's worthless. You have to wait 12 hours or 24 hours or whatever it is before it can respawn. But it will respawn after 24 hours, and it is still possible to become familiar enough with the location of one so that you can navigate to it, despite your complete absence of navigational tools for navigating around inside these ring systems. Something any quote unquote real spaceship would have as a matter of course, but which this game does not provide you. And for good reason. Because if you could in fact navigate around inside these rings, you could conceivably become familiar with a whole chain of subsurface deposits, and knowing where they all were, could simply work your way through that round of SSDs once a day, and basically fill up your hold if you knew about enough of them in a reasonable amount of time. So yeah, yeah. Anyway, yeah. So you don't. There's no real easy way to navigate around these systems, but turns out that in some systems, depending on the configuration of the hotspots in the system, if you get into a system where you've got your ice diamond hotspot that you're going to mine, and if it has 2 or 3 or 4 or other hotspots of any kind, doesn't matter what they are, relatively close to that hotspot. I'm talking about like maybe 3 million or 5 million megameters or whatever it is. Definitely less than a light second. You want a system where the spot you're gonna mine is pretty close to 2 or 3 other hotspots. Okay? Alright, well, long story short, you can get into your spot, your general area that you're gonna mine, and then using the navigational panel that you are provided, this one here, you can use the distances from these other adjacent hotspots as a kind of ad hoc coordinate system, right? Which I'm going to make an attempt to demonstrate that here shortly. Like I said, that's where it starts, okay? After that, and yeah, it's not easy. This is not a rigged up situation that was really set up for navigation at all. There's not many systems that fulfill that requirement. It's possible that 1 or 2 of the triple overlaps might. I haven't really looked at them because I never really mined there anyway. But there's at least one system that I know about that works with this. And the other part of this is that once you've figured out or gimmed up a way to dead reckon your way around inside one of these things, you then have to build up some knowledge of the specific locations of your chain of SSDs. And that is the part that's, well, aside from the fact that it's really difficult to navigate at all, even using these quote-unquote coordinates, even aside from that, it's still very time-consuming to wander around aimlessly inside this hotspot, locate specific SSD deposits, and then you have to find some way of documenting those locations well enough so that you can find your way back to them. See, the coordinates help. I've been doing this and making a lot of screenshots. The coordinates help. You record the coordinates where the SSD is, and if your other hotspots reasonably close to the one you're in, then the distances to the adjacent ones will effectively define a certain amount of area in the ring. And if they're close enough, that will actually be a fairly small area, one that it's not too hard to search. Of course, that doesn't help you at all if you get in there and are basically like, hey, all these rocks look exactly alike, which, yeah, they do, okay? So the other thing you have to do, the only other way I can find to document the locations of these things, once I know I'm in the correct area, is when I first find them, I have to take screenshots of them and the surrounding rocks around them, while using the pulse scanner, so that the rocks around them, if there's any deposits in them, will glow. Okay, and if you come up with an SSD that's got a few other rocks around it, and they're all glowing, and the one you want is clearly marked, and if the rocks that are glowing all happen to be other SSD deposit, well, no. If they just happen to be other rocks that also respawn, that means that you can take your screenshot of that setup and you can use it later on to navigate to that set of coordinates, and then look around a little bit and locate that constellation of rocks. All right. I did say this was a huge pain in the ass, didn't I? Maybe not in so many words, but yeah, this is a huge pain in the ass. But I'm happy to report that it does work to some extent. I don't get to play this game a whole lot. I get out here on the weekends for a few hours, and in the last few weeks, I found one SSD that I can pretty much definitely get to every time. And then using that as my starting point, I've got another SSD I can pretty reliably get to. And then also using that as my starting point, I've located my prize, a triple SSD deposit, also using that original point as a dead reckoning point. And I've made what I hope are some really careful notes about how to get to all these places. And there's another one or two deposits that I'm not too sure about, but I'm going to make an attempt to find them again too. I just found those yesterday, so I'm going to make an attempt. They're at different coordinates too, so anyway, first I have to get out to the system, and at this point, once I get out there, yeah, I'm going to have to get in here later in editing and just redact the crap out of every reference on the screen to the system that I'm in, because as you might have already gathered from the way this works, since these things respawn every 24 hours or whatever it is, that means that I can only go through this round of SSDs basically once a day, right? So over time, if I can find enough of them to go through, then it should be possible for me to get out there, fill up my hole, get back out, and make a reasonable amount of money for that day's work, right? But that ain't going to work so well if I put out stupid videos like this one and tell everybody in the world what system it is and where all these things are. Because then, on the day I want to mine, some other fool may have gotten out there and cleaned them all out already. And then they won't be there for me when I go there, is my guess. Not that anybody watches these videos, but that's my paranoid fear about it. So, anyway, I'm going to make another break here until I get out there. Okay, well, actually having thought about this a little bit, I think I'm going to cut this video short right here, and possibly at some future date, I'll make the effort to actually demonstrate this, what I've described in practice, Not because I wouldn't love to put it on YouTube and all that, but just because if I'm going to be all super secret and everything about this, that's going to be a shitload of work for me in the editor later, using elements of the editor that I haven't really used before, and that they weren't really made for. And yeah, it's just the editor I use is a pain in the ass to do that with, although it can be done. And that's because I'm using the free version of it. Yeah. I'll try and get an actual demonstration video of this out here later. Anyway, I gave you the basic idea, you know. Yeah, and I realize it's not really worth it, you know. I'm not really doing this entirely for the money. This is just a kind of anal retentive, OCD kind of bullshit that kind of captures my interest, you know. And maybe at the end of this, I'll have a reliable income of some sort, you know. In the meantime, I'm sure there's going to be other exploits out there making stupidly huge amounts of money for you know, that'll be easy as hell for everybody, and you know, because that's what this game is all about. And if that's all you care about, then, you know, don't even bother with this, because this is just a huge pain in the ass. Yeah. I know, I suspect if I just wanted money, I haven't really looked into it, but I suspect given the stupidly low prices that low temperature diamonds go for nowadays, it might well be better off to look into mining other things, you know, because there's other things. I mean, void opals. There's a few others that I've seen going for higher prices than LTDs now, so that might be a better deal, but. I like LTDs. I like the fact that you can mine them every way possible, and I think it's interesting and this is interesting to do with. So I'm going to cut this short for now, and possibly later, after I've found a few more of these things to map out beyond what I have now, and possibly after I get done playing around with the editor enough to deal with that, I'll do some more of this. So yeah, that's it for me for now. Have a good day.